With society's current obsession and infatuation for soft, harmonious features, seen with TikTok famous models dominating the spotlight, it can be argued that an attractive hairstyle has never been a more essential piece in the aesthetics puzzle. These fads indicate a shift from robust, masculine faces being preferred to coloring, harmony, and soft features being desired, which is where hairstyle plays a very important role. A study by Terry and Roger confirmed this hypothesis and concluded that hair was the third most important component of an attractive face after the eyes and mouth. In the past, I've stated that the face makes the hair, and I still stand by that. In every hair evaluation research paper, the first step is to identify the face shape and distinct facial landmarks before suggesting a hairstyle. Baldock and Shapiro 2001 noted that hair in particular is an important and distinct aspect of appearance that plays a major role in self-perception. Since its color, shape, and length can be manipulated to create different styles, it is a tool of self-expression. We covered this aspect of social influence in our first video on hairstyles. The problem is, many misconceptions about hair and hairstyling still exist. In specific, there is no ideal or trendy hairstyle which is optimal for attractiveness. There is no one-size-fits-all, unlike say for something more universal, such as jaw protrusion, where normally aligned jaws are always rated the most attractive worldwide. Any large deviation is considered a dentofacial defect. In contrast, the best hairstyle is one that works in harmony with your facial features, facial coloring, and mitigates your flaws to accentuate your positive aspects. Since there is no ideal male hairstyle, we see lots of diversity among male models that epitomize masculine aesthetics. One analysis of male magazines categorized and classified the different hairstyles of models as shown in advertisements. They discovered the only significant similarity between the model's hair was that it didn't have a major recession and that their hair was not oily or dirty. In regards to hair length and style, while the moderate length was the most popular, there existed lots of variations. This provides further evidence that there is no universally ideal hairstyle. Rather, each individual's ideal hairstyle is different for men. In the first video, research pointed at longer length being seen as more feminine, youthful, and attractive for women. But there were caveats and exclusions for those with above average facial attractiveness, where the rule actually works against them. Before we get into how to identify what styles look best for a certain face shape, we need to examine the hair individually rather than holistically and determine what is needed for optimal hair aesthetics. A study comparing the attractiveness of different hair colors discovered that brunette hair was chosen as the most attractive, with blonde as the second most and red as the least. However, there is not much deviation for preference because each has a unique theory for being attractive. A journal article for male and female hair color preferences noted that individuals were attracted to 1. Hair colors that are similar or familiar to them, such as their mother, father, or their own hair color. 2. Rare hair colors that are uncommon for their ethnicity. And 3. Blonde hair because it represents youthfulness. Blonde hair refers to children having lighter hair color, which darkens naturally with age. This isn't exclusive to Europeans. This gives one possible explanation as to why these three colors show little variation. What's more important is that your eyebrows are a few shades darker than your hair color. For instance, both Justin Bieber and KJ Apa have eyebrows much darker than their hairstyle, which contributes to their attractiveness. This rule applies to pretty much everyone from light to dark skin. Typically, Northern Europeans are the most likely to have very pale eyebrows that reduce perceptions of virility and attractiveness, especially for men who dimorphically have darker facial hair. Unsurprisingly, what is much more detrimental in overall attractiveness is hair density and hairline positioning. This transcends modern beauty trends and fads. Even in ancient Rome, baldness, especially for men who are young, was frequently ridiculed. The opinion of ancient Romans on balding is best described by a poem from Ovid, Ars Amatoria, who wrote, "Ugly are hornless bulls, a field without grass is an eyesore, so is a tree without leaves, so is a head without hair." Men would go as far as to paint and dye their heads to escape the ridicule and stigma of balding. Using the Norwood scale to define balding, the lower your Norwood level, the more ideal. A study comparing various levels of recession noted that, consistent with the model, decrease in the amount of cranial hair was associated with increased perceptions of social maturity, appeasement, and age, and decreased perceptions of attractiveness and aggressiveness. Another study compared generated faces with a normal hairline versus one with a Norwood 6 hairline, discovered that not only was a more receded morph rated almost half as attractive physically, but was also less socially desirable. The reverse effect was seen with patients who underwent hair transplantation. Compared to the pre-surgery images, the results were as follows for a group of 7 men who underwent a hair transplant. It is a harsh reality for men, but there are more solutions now than ever before. If you are having trouble with recession, minoxidil and microneedling are great first lines of defense against hair loss. Minoxidil is an antihypertensive agent that causes vasodilation and increases blood flow to the hair follicles, which reduces the rate of hair loss but doesn't entirely stop it. Microneedling works to stimulate blood flow with small levels of induced skin damage. Both of these treatments have shown clinical efficiency, both as monotherapy and in combination. With that, there are also more complete treatments in development, such as anti-androgenic Breezula, aka clascoterone, which is also used to treat acne, but they still need to finish clinical trials and FDA approval. Instead of reducing hormone levels and messing with your body's endocrine balance, it stops the hormone's ability to bind to hair follicles and miniaturize the hair, so it's looking pretty promising. There are also existing prescription options, such as finasteride and dutasteride, which reduce the hormone responsible for miniaturizing hair, and are more permanent solutions that you take daily, but these have a low but existing risk of side effects. There are plenty of support groups such as r/Tressless on Reddit, and interesting YouTubers such as More Plates More Dates who break down content on hair loss research, but visiting a hair specialist dermatologist is worth seeing first if your hair is even prone to recession, as 50% of men are. There are some exceptions to individuals who can pull off the bald look, such as Dwayne Johnson. Generally, to look attractive without cranial hair, a robust lower third and dark eyebrows are essential. Without these features, it becomes difficult to identify the facial thirds. Now, considering the hair holistically, it needs to bring harmony to the face. Hair is unique since it can be easily manipulated to add to the illusion of both width and height, and it needs to be styled according to your facial proportions. The most vital part of your hair and what needs to be taken into consideration is your facial third proportion. Individuals with a high set hairline or recession, causing a disproportionately large upper third, can benefit greatly from hair that covers much of the forehead, slightly creating the illusion of more proportionate facial thirds. This is commonly done with curly bangs or curtain hair. This style is also recommended for phenotypes which commonly have light eyebrows, as they make the forehead appear larger. Alternatively, if your upper third is too small in proportion to your facial thirds, then a hairstyle where the hair is styled upwards is better. This has the opposite effect on your proportions and makes your upper third seem more balanced. Secondly, the styling of the hair is dependent on your bizygomatic to bitemporal ratio. For males, the average bitemporal width, or the width of your forehead, is around 115 mm and should be approximately 80 to 85% of the bizygomatic width or the cheekbone width. Individuals with a small bitemporal width should attempt to have longer hair on the sides to create an illusion of a larger temporal region. In contrast, people with larger temporal widths should keep the sides shorter to not exaggerate that feature. The curtain hairstyle is one such hairstyle which is becoming increasingly popular, as it can both disguise small bitemporal width but also create the illusion of a larger bizygomatic width. Large bizygomatic width or cheekbone width is a feminine feature that's influenced by estrogen, and so curtains by nature are a more feminine hairstyle. Another popular trend for men is long hair. Long hair is an extremely unique style and can make the face appear much wider. Similarly, a curtain hairstyle also has the benefit of covering the forehead in the profile facial view. For males, the forehead slope should be around 10 degrees plus or minus 4, compared to females with a slope of 6 degrees plus or minus 5. Those with a more feminine vertical forehead would benefit from disguising it with a curtain hairstyle. As touched on with our analysis of Mads Mikkelsen, men with a greater slope can get away with much more hair recession, as it's such a strongly defining masculine feature. Rounded upper thirds are a juvenile feature, and so curtains look good when you're young, but there's a reason why it's a more uncommon hairstyle for older men. Long hair can look attractive on men, however for long hair to look attractive, two crucial features are required. Firstly, you must take care of your hair and ensure it looks healthy and groomed. A college research paper analyzing the perception of males with long hair discovered that the perceptions of men with well-maintained long hair were extremely positive. However, when the male participant's hair was ungroomed, the response was strongly the opposite. Secondly, a masculine face is a requirement for long hair, no ifs or buts about it. Long hair is seen as a feminizing trait and works well in contrast with a masculine face. However, without a masculine face, long hair can ruin the dimorphism of it. It's hard finding an accurate example of this, but I think YouTuber Brett Maverick is a very good analogy, with a very masculine face and healthy hair. In comparison, someone with higher facial fat, softer features, and oily hair might not fare as well. On that note of oily hair, there is a sweet spot for how much you should be shampooing, and that depends on the person. Dry, fluffy hair after a shampoo cleanly strips your hair of its natural oils, and for men means using more product to style your hair, which introduces dirt and oil back in anyway. This can result in an overdone look, making you look like a metrosexual Johnny Bravo, rather than the natural I woke up this way style that you see so commonly in modeling. If you go to r/nopoo, the shampoo alternative subreddit, there are plenty of people with healthy looking hair. Personally, I'd recommend using shampoo alternatives to keep your hair clean and using less aggressive shampoos to retain a more natural hairstyle. This is important if you have medium to long length hair as a guy, as natural and styled looks are completely different aesthetics that work for completely different faces. In general, it is recommended to keep your hair at medium length unless you have the strong masculine features required. For most men, short hair was perceived more positively than long hair because short hair is a safer, low-risk option. From experience, keeping a medium length all around gives you the best of both worlds, as you can always tighten up the sides with strong hold products and have more control on the top for styling as needed. I know just how annoying it can be when there's a few flyaway hairs near the parting that refuse to style and stand up straight because they're too short but long enough to be a visible problem. In contrast to long hair, short hair was rated more professional and was preferred by conservative women. A buzz cut is a suitable low maintenance option. However, again, a strong masculine face is required to pull it off. Soft feminine features do not harmonize with this hairstyle, accentuating the roundness of the skull further. If you've noticed, there is a trend where too short and too long both require above average facial attractiveness to pull off, very similarly to our findings from the first video for women. Medium to average length works best for the large majority of men, provided that they have the hair density and hairline to pull it off. Otherwise, cutting it shorter, using hair thickening fibers such as Topic, or even getting micropigmentation tattoos are viable options. In addition, ensure that the length of your hairline is not significantly less than your bitemporal width. If your hairline length is too narrow, your upper head is less harmonious. Considering the rule of facial fifths, your hairline should become straight where the outermost fifth and adjacent facial fifths meet. This is the difference between a juvenile and matured hairline, where a matured hairline with a little bit of temporal recession is perfectly normal and attractive. For a more feminine and recessed face, a bolder hairstyle is required. Realistically, if your facial features are too weak, especially at the jaw, no hairstyle is going to provide a significant boost to your aesthetic. The recommendation in that case would be to focus on correcting the large dentofacial flaws first to get a more accurate assessment of your face shape. Those with more feminine but strong dentofacial features fall into the pretty boy category and emphasize their feminine aspects with curtains or bangs. Men with more masculine but still strong dentofacial features can adopt a shorter hairstyle to enhance their masculinity, especially when paired with a beard. This is most commonly done with a side fade that joins up with the beard, but nothing too perfectly overdone to the point of being overly manicured, which defeats the purpose. A good fade should end at the temples and not go all the way up to the parting, which A, makes your head look more rounded and soft, and B, makes your appearance asymmetric. Cristiano Ronaldo got the high part line sometime in the mid-2000s, and some men adopted the look as a trendy hairstyle, regardless of their face shape or aesthetic. Unless you have the same male model bone structure as him, there is a very limited subset of people that this would work for on a grown man. Instead, ending at the temples symmetrically is much more timeless, socially accepted, and mature. For people with larger ears, having short sides can also be an aesthetic disadvantage, which is something to consider. Most respectable, matured faces in modeling and pop culture never go past the temples. For instance, Stephen James has a low fade with plenty of hair covering the part. Zayn Malik with a medium fade, ending well below the parting. Medium fade here with hair covering the parting. Point being, for whatever length of hair, it's generally not a good idea to cut up to the natural hair parting, and then getting a line through it is a great way to look like a grown child who makes bad decisions. At the end of the day, it's your hair and you can style it however you like, but in the interests of educating the 30% of men who watch this channel, these are the factors that matter for purely aesthetics. If you'd like for your face to be analyzed and to get in-depth recommendations, you can order a facial analysis report at the Coos website.